Welcome to the Desire Gap podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Laura Juergens, and whether you want more sex than your partner or less, you are not wrong and your relationship isn't doomed. You just need better tools to solve the struggles of mismatched libidos. That's what we do here. So welcome and let's dive in. Hey, welcome to episode 87 and a pretty big switch. I am really glad you're here, and I want to welcome you to what is now officially the Desire Gap podcast. We are making a change, but let me just reassure you, this episode is going to explain why this change is great for you, whether this is an issue you have right now in your relationship or not. And I think it'll also help if you've been a long-term listener and you're like, wait, what's all this about? You're going to really get a sense of why I'm doing this and why it's going to be great for you. So I want to start though with, something that might blow your mind or might not surprise you at all. I'm curious. Roughly 80% of couples experience some sort of desire discrepancy that feels problematic to them at some point in their relationship. 80% of people have run into a libido mismatch, are in it right now, or have had it in the past or will have it in the future. And the thing is, it's not just causing frustration in the bedroom. It's actually a leading cause of breakups, divorce, and one of the top reasons that couples seek counseling. But the crazy part, here's the really crazy part. The vast majority of marriage and family therapists and regular therapists have little to no training in sexuality. Yes, even MFTs, marriage and family therapists, licensing requirements for MFTs don't mandate sexuality training. None. And it's a real bummer for a lot of therapists. And in fact, I have a lot of therapists who are clients. I have a lot of therapists who are friends. And I hear all the time from them how frustrated they are about not getting sufficient training in this area, in sexuality. And most therapists get maybe a few hours in a graduate course if they're lucky. And people don't know that. So if you're not a therapist, you don't know that. This is partly why I have a bunch of therapists as clients, because they do know that. And so they come to a specialist. But most people don't know. So they are showing up for help with this really painful issue that's causing a major struggle that they feel like might even be leading to a divorce. And their therapists are unprepared. And sometimes they're lucky, and their therapist is also really honest and admits that they can't help, rather than sort of winging it or giving some poor advice that is uninformed, right? But even if they do have a really great person who's willing to admit that they can't help under the pressure of somebody's pain, which can be hard, right? People just feel hopeless and they don't know where to turn then, right? Unless that therapist happens to know about me or one of my colleagues who's really good with this issue. And it's just so disappointing that is where we're at with sexuality in our culture. That people who are out there trying to help people with their emotional well-being, with their relationships, most of the time do not have the tools to actually be helping them with this huge problem. So I know, frankly, not that many people, even sex therapists, deal super well with libido mismatches. And I know because I talk to those people too, and I also talk to their clients, and it is such a common problem. And then there's so few people who actually deal with it well. And the reason even sex therapists often don't know how to deal with libido mismatch very well is because of particularly the way that they're trained. A lot of them are trained in more sort of pathological issues, or to really focus on sort of past origins of sexuality issues. And that can give people sort of a why I might have high desire or why I might have low desire, but doesn't really help them understand how to kind of solve the challenge with their partner, right? And so for those of you who've been listening to Sex Help for Smart People, I want to reassure you up front here that I appreciate you so much. I know I don't know you personally, most of you. I know a couple people who listen, but the vast majority of you, I don't know you personally, but you may feel like you know me, and I feel like you know me. And I want you to know I really appreciate you, whether you come every week to listen to this podcast or whether you drop in occasionally. And I have thought a lot about you and deeply about you. And I feel like this new focus is going to serve you even better than the sort of more general ideas behind Sex Help for Smart People. And so I'm not just changing the name here. I'm really giving you access to more of my specific expertise that has worked for couples with mismatched libidos. I have had such good results with my clients and with individuals who come even when their partner's not ready to take on this issue. It's amazing what one person can do in this kind of dynamic. And I've been on both sides of the issue. I've had periods of virtually zero desire where I felt disconnected from my own body and kind of emotionally like ashamed and somehow sexually broken. And I've also been the higher desire partner feeling constantly rejected and really sexually frustrated and emotionally frustrated about like how to connect with my partner. So using the same methods that I work with my clients on, my partner and I worked through both of those scenarios. And so I know these approaches work and I know it firsthand. And then I've also worked with all these clients and I want to make sure you get access to the very specific expertise that enables all of this to work, because it's not a fluke and it's not random stuff you're going to find. And, ChatGPT is not going to be able to tell you. And I don't see it in any book out there at this point. So someday this podcast will probably evolve into a specialized book on this topic. But right now, you get it as this podcast. And so, I had just an example. I had a client the other day, Randy. She started working with me when she had zero sex drive. And she said, these are her words. I'm just going to quote her. "I felt less like a woman with each day. My marriage was suffering." And, what she said was after 3 months working with me to using somatic approaches, releasing some of the trauma that she had, and rebuilding her relationship with desire, and really rebuilding communication with her husband. And then I worked with her husband too to help him understand what was actually going to work for her and what, help him release some of the stored up anxiety and angst and pain and everything that was contributing to this dynamic. Her sex drive returned. She said, and this is a quote, "My marriage is stronger than ever." And this is what's possible when you have someone who actually knows how to address the nervous system patterns and the body-based blocks, the somatic blocks that create desire differences. And that means both the really high libido partner and the low libido partner. There are nervous system patterns for both of those situations, and there's emotional dynamics with both of those situations that are really important to get to the root of and not just sort of pretend that it's just this relationship, because it's not. People have this problem with one relationship. They break up, they get out of it, and they wind up with the same damn problem with their next relationship because they think it's their partner, but it's not. Or they might leap from one relationship to another in an effort to kind of keep that early relationship juju going, the sort of spark that you get when you're in the sort of fantasizing that everybody's perfect period, the first few months of a relationship. And then they can't hold a long-term relationship because they don't know how to get through this challenge. So this shift is really about, for the podcast, the desire gap topic. It literally covers every sexual challenge that people face. So we are still going to be talking about topics like opening relationships, fantasies, toys, touch literacy, consent competence, kinks, emotional needs, communication breakdowns and how to solve them, right? De-shaming. I'm always here for that, right? And all of those things connect back to how we navigate our different individual needs and our sexual desire. So when you think about this podcast, I still want you to think about it really holistically, because this problem, having slightly different or massively different desires for sex than your partner, it really encompasses everything about human sexuality in so many ways. Because in order to get to the root of it, we really have to understand what does turn you on? What are your needs? And to be able to communicate them really effectively in a way that doesn't create defensiveness, that doesn't blow up in your face, right? All of that, those communication skills, it's just connects back to everything, right? And that's the way we move forward. So this shift isn't just about helping more people find me, although it is about that too. I really want people to know that I'm here to help with this issue, because you hear it all the time. You be at a restaurant, you be out with your friends. People are constantly complaining about either wanting more sex or less sex than their partner all the time. We've all been there. I've been there. And I think a lot of times we're externalizing that. We're like complaining to our friends about it because we literally don't know where to find help. We don't have an obvious resource. So I really want to be that obvious resource. But it's not just about that. I want to help people find me, and I also want to help you get the focused content on an issue that touches every other sexual challenge you'll ever face. So instead of just sort of general sex advice, you're getting specialized expertise on something that you will run into. If you're not in it right now, you will run into it at some point in the future. And you may already know that you've had that issue in the past, right? So that is what I'm here for. I use, as you know, if you've been listening for a while, I use somatic or body-based approaches that work with your entire body, not just your mind and your thoughts, right? But we need to think about our mind and our thoughts too, because our brain is a really powerful sex organ. So we do that too. But desire also lives in our body. And that's where real change happens, is like in how we relax into our own erotic selves. So speaking of all the things that are coming with this and the new podcast name and the change, I'm just really excited about the episodes that I have planned for you. We are talking about things like how to start those hard conversations without them blowing up, how to say no without your partner feeling rejected, why you need more touch that isn't foreplay, and how to figure out the kinds of touches that you need, whether it's for foreplay or not, how to get out of the obligation guilt spiral, how to turn yourself on so that your partner doesn't actually have to carry that whole load. We're going to talk about the ways that ADHD intersects with both high desire and low desire. And this is like, I love that topic. It's so close to my heart and my experience. And, we'll even talk about how to navigate opening and when to think about opening relationships as part of the solution for desire differences, and when it's like a real bad idea to go that direction first, or at least until you've tried a bunch of other stuff, and at least until you've set yourself up really well for success. I'm also going to be rolling out a listener Q&A form pretty soon where you can submit anonymous requests. In the meantime, though, until that's live, email me directly. I genuinely want to know what you're thinking and what you're struggling with. I would like to know you better, right? You get a sense of me from my voice in your ears, and I would like to know you and how I can serve you better. So shoot me an email. You can use laura@laurajergens.com. Make sure to spell my last name right. Jurgens, right? LauraJurgens. And I've always got this stuff in my show notes, and so it's pretty easy to find. I'm also going to be adding special reflection questions to my emails that go out to my newsletter list. So if you're not on that, you will want to grab that, get on it, And you'll get some additional reflection questions related to the podcasts. I don't send a million emails. I don't spam you. When you sign up for my list, you won't get like 19 emails in the first week, which hot tip, that happened to me once. It was actually a person who I really respect, but I signed up for her emails and I got 19 in the first week. And I was like, holy shit, girl, like you need to back off. That's not me. I do not do that. I won't do that for you, but you will always be able to opt out anytime you want. So give it a try. I think you're going to want to stick around because I don't actually use AI to write my emails or anything. They're from me. So I think they're kind of great, but hey, you are invited. And then also another thing that's coming down the pike is a blog is coming soon for those of you who love written content like me. So if you are a person who actually likes to, maybe you do love it in your ears, but then you also like to be able to have a reference or like something that you can read or share easily, that is coming too. And so I will announce it here, but you'll also get it directly, a link to it if you're on my email list. So you want to do that. The other awesome thing is right now I have a special free guide that I'm giving everybody who's signing up for my email newsletter right now. And so you will want to get this. This is a really important starting place if you have a desire gap with your partner. So this is going to be exactly the place that you want this guide to where to start solving your desire gap. It's like 5 steps to solve your desire gap without falling into blame and shame. So you're going to want to get there. All right. And so that's kind of like news that's coming up, stuff that's coming up, episodes that are coming up. And I just want to welcome you. I am so glad you are here. I am so glad you are going to stick with, and I hope you're going to stick with me through this Desire podcast journey. I think you will really enjoy it. You're going to get the same loving, evidence-based help and, loving call outs from me on stuff that we all need to be called out on too. But it's now going to be focused on this issue that is really the key underlying so many people's struggles with their intimate life. And before you go today, I just want to leave you with a really simple but powerful exercise. Whether you're partnered or single, just take a moment to check in with yourself about your current relationship with desire. Here are some questions that you can use to help yourself with this check-in. How do I actually feel about my current level of sexual desire right now in my life? So say in the last 2 months. Not how you think you should feel or how your partner wants you to feel or what some magazine article told you should feel or was normal for your age group. How do you feel right now about your level of desire? I want you just to take a moment and sit with what is my relationship to that? Know where you're at. Because I promise you have a relationship with your own desire and you have some sort of judgment about it. It could be good. It could be bad. It could be neutral. It could be somewhere in the spectrum, right? Of horrible to wonderful. So you have that relationship whether you're acknowledging it or not. And so I want to invite you to bring it out into the light. What is your current relationship to your level of desire? How do you feel about it? And there's no right or wrong answers. It's just information. And it's just to help you understand your starting point as we dive into this exploration together. All right. I'll see you here next week, my wonderful listeners. Thanks for being here. Hey, so before you go, I have some more free help for you. If you are okay with sharing your email, I will send you my free guide, 5 steps to start solving desire differences without blame or shame. This is a practical starting point for individuals and couples. You can opt out of my emails at any time, but I think you'll want to stick around. I am not a spammer. Go get it at laurajurgens.com/libido. Make sure to spell my last name right, and the link is in the show notes.